Hunt 'em Big with Steve Bartylla. Brought to you by Huntworth and these other fine sponsors.
In life, I found a simple truth. It doesn't matter if I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to retire. It doesn't matter if I'm talking my career. It doesn't matter if I'm talking pulling off a move of a loved one. And it sure doesn't matter if I'm talking habitat improvement or hunts themselves. Having a plan gives me such an advantage, it's not even funny. By having a plan, I can go ahead and I can make it so that as long as my plan works, that each one of my activities, each one of my hunts is that much better than the one before. So let's talk coming up with a plan for a hunt. For this, I'm saying you got a week somewhere. Whether it's you got a week of vacation, you went ahead and took a trip, whatever, you've got a week to hunt. Don't go out there and just wing it. At least speaking for myself, when I do that, it does not work out anywhere near as well. Instead, come up with a plan. Okay. The truth of the matter is that for the vast majority of hunters, when you've got a 5, 6, 7, 8 day hunt, every single day your hunt gets worse. Why? Well, because they tend to trash the place and let every whitetail on the property know that they're there. So instead of going ahead and just winging this stuff, come up with a plan. Figure out what stage of season you're going to be hunting, and then what do the whitetails want during that stage of the season? What are the specifics for that individual property? Is there something we have to consider here that maybe there's a food source that's about to be harvested? Well, geez, when that grain field gets harvested, all of a sudden those deer go nuts, don't they? They hammer that grain field like crazy. First, take an inventory of what's going to be going on there. Then ask yourself, what's the lowest impact stand I believe I can get this done from? Make that your first set. Your second set is a little bit more of aggressive stand. Your third set may possibly be, if you're not getting the results, ramp up that aggression just a little bit. Make it so your hunt starts very low end aggression and slowly ramps up as needed, because as long as you can keep those deer ignorant to our hunting activities, if they do not see us, if they do not smell us, if they do not hear us, if we do not shoot them, they weren't there. We were not there to them. Okay, but remember, our odors, they can last 48, 72 hours after we leave the woods. So it's not just while we're in there, it's every little action we're taking. Factor it all together, come up with a hunting plan, and odds are, rather than your hunt going like this with each sit, your hunt will go like this instead.
Final thoughts, brought to you by Huntworth.
It is exceedingly hard for me to exaggerate the importance of having a plan. When I have a plan in darn near anything, when I sit down proactively, gather as much data as I possibly can about the situation, and use my most powerful weapon, which happens to be sitting on top of my shoulders, well, all of a sudden I can go ahead and I can come up with the most sound approach there is. When I wing it, it does not work that way. Just remember one thing when it comes to having these airtight plans. Always consistently be rigidly flexible. In other words, when you get new data, don't be afraid to throw out the plan. Our plan is based on the data set we have. As we get more data, the thing that makes by far the most sense to do is to adapt the plan to address that new data as well. But by having a plan, by starting out lower impact, trying to get it done from the low impact stands and slowly ramping it up, rather than doing the reverse, where you go crashing right into the middle of that buck bedding area the very first day, and guess what? He knows you blew him out of there. So all of a sudden that whitetail understands it's being hunted. And once that whitetail understands it's being hunted, it's in danger in this area, all the rules change. It is so darn much easier, speaking for myself, to be successful when I'm hunting relatively ignorant deer that do not realize I'm there than it ever is when they realize, and that exact same thing applies to public land even more so than private land, because those whitetails are pummeled. Find those spots where others aren't going and don't let them know you're there.